My name is David Bauman. I present here the article I wrote about the practical usage of mathematics in basic music theory. You can download this article from the address shown on the screen and in the description of this video below. I play piano and guitar as an amateur, but being a mathematician, I think I have a way to explain how math is used in basic music theory to those people who want to learn and understand music theory and use it in their playing jazz songs and other genres of music on a piano or any other instrument. Let's take a quick look at how numerical calculations are used in music. The piano keyboard consists of 7 identical sets of white and black keys. Each set is called octave. Each octave has 7 white keys whose names are 7 letters of Latin alphabet: C, D, E, F, G, A, and B, as shown on the screen. If you play these keys in this order and finish it with the next key, which is the next C on the keyboard, you will hear the melody called major scale. If you play 7 consecutive white keys starting with A and finish it with the next A, you will hear the different melody called minor scale. Why are these two melodies different? The difference in melodies can be explained if we use the definition of any melody given in the form of a sequence of numbers relative to one note called tonic note that is assigned number 1. We can set the rule that any musical scale starts with sequential number 1 and ends with number 1, that is the same note, one whole octave higher than the tonic note. Then major scale can be uniquely described as the sequence of numbers 1, 3, 5, 6, 8, 10, 12, 1. These numbers can be calculated if we start counting from C key and include the black keys in counting. Then D key has sequential number 3, E key has sequential number 5, etc. If we calculate the similar sequence of numbers for minor scale, that sequence is 1, 3, 4, 6, 8, 9, 11, 1. These two sequences of numbers are exact definitions of melodies of major and minor scales, and the differences between these two sequences explain the differences in the melodies. On the other hand, the same melody can be played in 12 different keys if we use the same sequential numbers of each definition starting from any key. If you play it on a piano, you can assign number 1 to any key on the keyboard, white or black, and simply count keys, including all black and white keys. It's the standard exercise in piano playing to play scales in all 12 keys. You must play them in ascending and descending order within one octave or across the keyboard, starting from the first, leftmost octave on the piano to the 7th, the rightmost octave, and back. Playing them confidently with high speed and precision is the skill that any piano player must develop. There are other scales well known in music theory, also described in my article. These scales are known in music theory by their historical names. They represent only a small subset of all possible scales. If you define a scale as an ascending sequence of 8 notes that always start and end with 1 and 6 numbers in the range from 2 to 12, then the number of all possible scales is 11 choose 6, which equals 462. As you see, there is a lot of freedom to come up with new scales, even if you limit them only to 7-note scales. The diatonic note counting, widely adopted in music theory, counts intervals between the notes in full tones and half tones, which is different from chromatic method of counting. where only half tones are used. I call them simply notes, so we use 12 notes. The chromatic counting is especially useful for playing one musical piece in different keys. Mathematical term for the same musical piece played in different keys is translated copies. It's when the entire structure is moved without changing any internal structures to a different location in some system of coordinates. Music theory also uses 7 Roman numbers to count the degrees or steps in playing any 7-note scale. You can see that major and minor scales have the same notes in degrees with numbers 1, 2, 4, and 5, and differ in degrees 3, 6, and 7. There is one standard sequence of chords that is commonly used in jazz and popular music called 2-5-1, referring to the chords that are rooted in notes whose degrees in major and minor scales are 2, 5, and 1 in this order. There are major and minor variations of 2-5-1 chord progressions, but their basic or root notes are the same. Their chromatic numbers are 3, 8, and 1, respectively. So we can call the 2-5-1 progression 3-8-1 progression, which refers to the same notes. Again, using chromatic numbers 3-8-1 makes it much easier to play these chords in different keys. I have an example in my article of using 2-5-1 chord progression in the jazz song Honeysuckle Rose. Here is the chart with chromatic note numbers that defines the ready recipe for playing major 2-5-1 chord progression with left hand and melody notes with right hand. It can be played in any of the 12 keys. I chose for this recording the tonic note E flat in the 3rd octave for playing chords and E flat in the 4th octave for melody. This fragment repeats the 2-5 part of the chord progression 3 times and then resolves the progression in the end by 1 chord, thus finishing the 2-5-1 chord progression. The next common pattern in jazz is minor 2-5-1 chord progression. The charts on the screen show the chromatic sequences of notes with ready recipe to play both major and minor 2-5-1 progressions. This is how major 2-5-1 chord progression sounds. And this is how minor 2-5-1 chord progression sounds. Here is my recording of minor 2-5-1 chord progression with 3 versions of the same melody lick, a fragment of melody that can be reused in an improvisation. As usual, it can be played in any of the 12 keys. I chose E flat in the 3rd octave as the tonic note for the chords and E flat in the 4th octave for the licks. My article has proper references to the sources of these and other licks that can be played with the minor 2-5-1 chord progression. I use the same method of chromatic note coordinates in my article to explain the basics of music theory. The scales, the chords, the major and minor chord progressions, the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd chord inversions, the tritone substitutions. Only the circle of 5th is described in terms of the actual names of the 12 keys. A chord is a mix of notes simultaneously played to generate a new sound, like an artist mixes paints to create a new color for a painting. Typically, chords are played with left hand, and passages of separate notes are played with right hand, but not always. For example, in this recording, I play one bass note with left hand and the series of chords with right hand. And in this recording, I play an arrangement of Joe Dasseng's song where multiple chords are played with both hands. Thank you for viewing this video.